Hello, my friends. Well, I have to admit I'm really excited now because what we are going to do now is a big step forward. As we know loops now, we can separate the data from the logic and then we can loop over the data to have an output for our logic. Please open up now the file 7_tabs_index-html.html. I know it's a long name. You can find that file in the folder theory part 2. When you have opened that up, please start your live server and then open this page in the browser. And here I have it already. So what we have here are our good old tabs. All right, we know this example from before, but now we will make it much more flexible. Okay, let's start. First thing is that we are going to copy this example here into a new example underneath. Okay, so later you can see the difference of the old system and the new system. So here in the source code, we have this section with our tabs. I'm gonna copy the whole thing and paste it here underneath this comment dynamic tabs here. Let's paste it in. And let's have a look in the front end if it works. So if I go to the web page and I scroll down, I have exactly the same tabs again. All right. Now, please go to your course and here on the right in the resources tab, I put a text file for you. Let me just grab it here in the middle. It's easier for me. Where is it? Okay, it's downloading. I open it. And here I just prepared some data for you so we save some time. So I'm gonna copy this whole thing here. And then we go to our editor and we scroll all the way to the bottom. And here we have the logic for our dynamic tabs. And inside this return here, inside this object, I paste in what I copied from the text file. All right. Now I'm just gonna fix the indent. Let's see. Okay, like this. It looks good. So here we have an array with two objects inside for our tabs. And then we have two fields. We have the title and we have the body. The title is what you can see in your tab header here. That will be the title. And then the body will be the actual content of the tab. Okay. Now let's make our second tabs here fill with this dynamic new data. So what we have to do is to loop over this data here. And actually we have to do two loops because we have to do one loop for the tab headers here and we have to do another loop for the tab content. So back in the editor, we are going to loop over this piece of data here with the name my tabs that we just inserted. I'm just gonna copy this name here. Let's go up to our second example. Here it is. And here are the three tab headers. But we will need only one tab header, so I'm gonna delete two of them. Now to loop over the tab headers, as we learned, we need a template tag. A template tag like this. And then we put this remaining tab header inside the template tag. Okay. Now, here in the template tag, as we learned, we put an X4. And then we're going to insert my tabs here already. And then we could say, for example, we want to loop over the variable my tab in my tabs. But we are not going to use this exact syntax here, because now we are going to use the index, the internal counting in this array down there, right? So what we're going to do is that we use this syntax here. I showed you that before. That we're gonna say x4 and then in brackets the internal variable name, comma, index. Okay, so let's change that. Okay, here it is. So here we add some brackets here. My tab, comma, index. We close the brackets in my tabs. Okay. Just a small remark here. Please don't use the variable name tab here, because the tab we already used to indicate the active tab. That was maybe a little bit unfortunate. It would have been better. We would have said, for example, tab active for this one. But as we started like this, I want to keep it and I want to call this internal variable for the loop my tab. Okay, now let's do the same thing down here with the output. So again, I'm gonna delete 2 of the tab contents here. And then I make another template tag here. Like this. And I put the remaining tab content inside there. All right. And then again for our loop, let me just fix the indent here so it's clean. And then for our loop, I can just copy this expression here from above. So we have basically the same loop. If we have a look in the front end now, why not? Let's see what we have now. Okay, we have now something that doesn't work, but already we can see that we have 2 tabs now, okay? Because our new array has only 2 elements. Okay, now let's put here the correct content. So back in the editor, here are the tab headers and we have our span. I make a line break before this add click here. And above of that, I am gonna have a X text for our dynamic output. And the output will be my tab. And then how did we call it? It was the title. Excuse me for that little memory loss. Okay, the title here. The same thing we're gonna do down there where we have the tab content. There we have this div. I make a line break here. Another one. X text. And here it will be my tab. And then the body. All right. Let's have a look in the browser. And here we have already our titles, which is description and specifics. And here we have already some output from our text file, from our original data. But we have a problem with the HTML here, as you can see, because this output contains HTML. But we're gonna fix this in a few minutes. But anyway, we are almost there already. Now we just have to get the logic in order. So now, everywhere where we used a static number before, we will replace this with our counter, which is the index variable. If we look up here in our old example, we were counting 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, alright? 0, 1, 2, like this. And now we let the index do the job. So that means here where we have tab equals 0, we say tab will equal index. So here we will set the active tab. Then for the highlighting of the tab, we will compare the current tab with the index to determine which classes we are using back here. Okay. This example text here, by the way, that we can delete this tab 1. Now let's go down to the content. And then here the same thing. We show this content of this loop if the current tab equals the index. This ID here, by the way, we don't need anymore. Doesn't make sense. And then also here this old example content, this lorem ipsum, we do not need it anymore. Let's clean up here a little bit. All right. Now let's check this out in the front end. Okay. Now we have description and specifics, but description is active. Let's click on specifics here, and now specifics is active, and we have a different content here. Now we just have to take care of this HTML output here. And that is really easy. Let's go to the editor, and here in our dynamic tabs in the second template where we render the body, we replace this X text here with XHTML. That's all. Let's check it out. And now we have our HTML, we have our bold text here, and we have the image here. Just a little side story. When Alpine.js version 3 was released, there was no XHTML anymore. So the creator of Alpine.js, he wanted to get rid of this XHTML because he thought that nobody actually uses XHTML. But then many users protested, and then he put this XHTML back into Alpine.js. So after the version 3.0.1 of Alpine.js, XHTML is there again. Now let's go back to the editor again, and let's scroll all the way down until we find our data, which is here. And now I just gonna copy the two objects in our data and paste them afterwards. Because now I want to show you that we are totally flexible with our content. So for example, here I can say description 2, specifics 2, and then here in the image, instead of 150 and 150 for the cat image, I will put 200 and 150 to get a different image. Let's save this. Let's go back to the tabs. And now we have 4 tabs here. So tab 1, specifics, description 2, we have a different image. And then we have specifics 4. So now we are really flexible with our tabs and everything works. So now the very last thing to fix this distance here between the tabs, we just go to the editor, and here in our dynamic tabs function, here where it says tab classes, I just add another class with the name mr-1, margin right 1. Let's check it out, and it's okay now. So in the next lecture, we will stay one more time with the tab example, but we will outsource the data for the tabs into a separate file. And then I'm going to show you another directive of Alpine.js, which is xinit. With xinit, we can inject data into a component when it's loading. And that means, for example, that we can put different tabs on one page with different content. So I hope this will be a little shorter again, this next lecture, and I'm looking forward to see you there.